England's Daily Mail newspaper has been around for about 125 years. It is known as a tabloid-style newspaper, but it certainly is much more than just a tabloid. The Daily Mail uncovers incredible stories very often, and they're anything but partisan. The Daily Mail will embarrass Republicans, Democrats, the English, the Americans, anyone. And today they leveled the American president, revealing Joe Biden had more than $5 million in income hidden from his transparency reports, according to their analysis. Perhaps we finally found the 10% that was held by Hunter for the big guy? Well, the investigation continues. Not that you needed much more evidence to presume that the Biden family has been exploiting Joe's political career for years now. At this point, it's painfully obvious to anybody that's paying attention. What makes it even more clear is the silence from the mainstream press, not even trying to defend Biden from these accusations. They know they can't, so they just act like it's not happening. We've also learned that Biden spent more than $700,000 paying legal fees for Hunter's Chinese deal, a deal that, he knew nothing about. Boy, you spend $700,000 on stuff you don't know anything about very often? I don't. Also, Hunter's business partner, Eric Schwerwin, visited the White House 8 times in 2016 alone. Hunter's business partner. That from the guy that said he doesn't know anything about his son's business dealings. Add that to a picture of Joe Biden golfing with another business partner, Devin Archer, plus verified emails about, again, 10% being held by H for the big guy, and you have some seriously compelling evidence of corruption. At this point, really, it's almost indisputable, again, to anybody that wants to pay attention. But even with all of that, the media remains completely disinterested in this story. The top story, of course, and forever, is Donald Trump, and whether his company years ago overvalued assets, which, if you're going by media coverage, has now changed from a rather benign offense that's committed by major companies all the time into a massive scandal of earth-shattering proportion.
We are following breaking news. A New York judge is holding former President Donald Trump in contempt and fining him $10,000 a day.
We have breaking news. A New York judge just ruled that Donald Trump, the former president, should be held in contempt.
And we've got some breaking news now out of New York, where a judge has found former President Donald Trump in contempt in the civil case over his business dealings.
Again, to anybody that watches these outlets, I mean, this is the Matrix, what you're watching. It's the Matrix. This is just, let's just program you with what we want you to know. These same organizations have no time to tell you that your current sitting president, currently occupying the White House, is likely, very likely corrupt. They have no time to tell you that story, even though they're on TV 24 hours a day. But they have 20 minutes out of every hour to talk about a guy who's playing golf in Palm Beach all day right now. I say it all the time, the mainstream media is dead. Not dying, they are dead. They serve absolutely none of their intended purpose. The mission statement has been radically changed. They're now just high-paid political activists screaming at a shrinking audience. Today, the White House, as well as Attorney General Merrick Garland, took questions on the staggering amount of evidence indicating the president and the first family are corrupt. Their responses were not surprising.
Does he also say that he has never spoken to his son's business partners about his son's business dealings?
He maintains his same statements that he's made in the past.
Do you have any reason to dispute the evidence that indicates that President Biden was involved with and using money from Hunter Biden's business deals?
Senator, following the long-standing rule of the Justice Department, we don't discuss investigations or evidence that may or may not be relevant to investigations.
Thanks, Merrick. Last week, we reported polling that showed about 2/3 of Americans, 2/3, believe President Biden is compromised by his family's business dealings. Truly incredible numbers for a story that, again, the mainstream press has worked feverishly to hide from the American people. Imagine how many would think he's compromised if that story weren't kept in the dark by the legacy media. Imagine what those numbers would look like then. 2/3. It's incredible. New polling this week shows only 19% of Americans want this man to run again in 2024, and I'd say that's a staggeringly high number in itself. In case anybody is curious about what the rules say about ethical behavior for executive branch authorities. The Office of Government Ethics sets standards, a guide for all executive branch nominees, laying out the general principles of ethical conduct for those that don't really understand what you need to do when you get into the White House or get into the executive office. If you take a look through these guidelines, you'll see that Biden doesn't really meet many of the standards. There's a lot of them, but one in particular says employees shall not should act impartially and not give any preferential treatment to any private organization or individual. Here from the laptop, we have an email between Hunter and associate where Hunter tells the partner he is going to go around official protocols to hook up a meeting between a union representative and Joe Biden. Just one more example, employees shall not engage in outside employment or activities, including seeking or negotiating for employment. In this email, we see former FBI Director Louis Freeh emailing Hunter as Joe is still vice president about future business opportunities for Joe Biden once he leaves office. So just tack on those two real quick examples to everything else that we have learned. All of the details that we've learned over the last couple years about Joe Biden, his brother, and Hunter Biden as well. And you have quite a compelling story that, again, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC have no time to tell you about.